Good morning and welcome to the State House for the official swearing ceremony of newly elected Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley and Attorney General Dale Marshall. It's a historic moment in the history of Barbados, as it will be the first time the President will be performing such a function in her capacity as President, and Prime Minister Motley having been successful in the general elections yesterday. Here comes the Governor General. Here comes the President.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the swearing ceremony for the Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Attorney General. Prime Minister.
I, Mia Amor Motley, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law, so help me God. I, Mia Amor Motley, do swear that I will be faithful and loyal to Barbados, and I will uphold the Constitution and the law. And I further swear that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability, discharge my duties as Prime Minister. So help me God.
The Prime Minister receiving the instruments of office.
General Dale Marshall.
Now it's the turn for Attorney General Dale Marshall.
I, Dale Marshall, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law, so help me God. I, Dale Marshall, do swear that I will be faithful and loyal to Barbados, and I will uphold the Constitution and the law. And I further swear that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as Minister. So help me God.
The Attorney General receiving the instruments of his office.
So I am sure that we all here congratulate Honorable Prime Minister and of course Honorable Attorney General on this occasion, as we have seen the results of the poll. And as Barbadians, we accept them, we go forward because all of you is one. and it can only be in the interest of Barbados that we stick together and make sure that this thing works. Once again, congratulations to you and your Prime Minister, and all the very best for the next 5 years. I would imagine that at this stage, the press will want to speak with our Prime Minister, so I would give her the opportunity, and then I would imagine Honorable Attorney General. No, you can't shake it. At least you have to say thank you to Barbados. So I'll give you that opportunity. Madam Prime Minister. And I would like to keep her too long, because I think she needs her rest after.
First of all, I'd like to thank as I said last night, the Almighty for allowing us to comport ourselves and to be here and to give us breath to continue the work ahead of us. I'd also like to thank the people of Barbados for the very clear and decisive mandate, as I said, that has been given to us as a government. We shall treat it with care, as we have done before, and we shall endeavor to continue the process of transformation if our country is to be able to meet the challenges that we expect to face in the next 10 to 15 years. We've laid out a number of these, but we also recognize that we're living in a very dynamic environment, and that apart from those challenges, there is still the aspirations of development that we set as ourselves as a nation when we became independent in 1966, closing the development gap, eliminating poverty from our landscape, ensuring that our children can be educated to the maximum and to the best of their ability, and of course, ensuring that our people have affordable, equitable access to health care, and above all else, that our people shall remain owners in their land and not tenants in their land. And that has been a process of enfranchisement undertaken successively by different governments. This manifesto has been far more strategic because we recognize that you almost have to learn to read the ball and play the shots as they come because of the manner in which the world is functioning today. And therefore we will have to continue a strong engagement globally because it allows us the fiscal and policy space to do what we need to do, but at the same time it also allows us as a small nation to be able to contribute in our own meaningful way to making the world a better place. During the course of the campaign, I also would have engaged with Barbadians from all walks of life. And there really is nothing that substitutes that kind of intense engagement. And it refocuses us on the things that we really, really must do as we come out of the depths of this pandemic. We want to be able to get back to a point where persons can regain control over their movements and their lives. And we have done well as a nation, but we are still not out of the woods. Over the course of the next few days, until the cabinet is appointed, I will have to take responsibility for the Ministry of Health because that work with COVID, as you know, is a daily exercise. But I look forward to announcing the cabinet on Monday and therefore being able to ensure that once sworn in, that we will start with the business of the affairs of this country. AJ, I don't know if you want to add anything?
Let me say that I endorse all of the remarks of the Prime Minister. She has spoken on my behalf. I want to thank her, of course, for having the confidence to ask that I serve Barbados and serve her and her cabinet as Attorney General. We left a lot of things still to be done, and I assure you that immediately we will get to the heavy duties of carrying on with the business of government.
I'd like to also thank the campaign manager and the General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, the Honourable Jerome Walcott, Santia Bradshaw, who have already announced will remain as leader of government business in the House of Assembly, and the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union, which, as you know, for us as a political institution that is about to celebrate 84 years in 6 weeks, the ability to come together with the Barbados Workers' Union philosophically again after over 65 years has been a very important event for us as a political institution, and it speaks to where we are in terms of ensuring that the working class, the workers of this country, will remain at the center of all that we do to build stability and prosperity. And I thank, therefore, the General Secretary, Tony Moore, for being here this morning as well. My family is here, and the Attorney General's family is here, and some of my constituents. I thank them as well for being here, and last night I spoke extensively, really giving thanks to my constituents, because this is now the 8th election that I've faced, and this is the one that they've seen me the least. But they carried me, and I thank them again publicly for it, because they understood that the responsibilities would have had me moving from St. Lucie to St. Philip, from St. John to St. James, and therefore, in a very real sense, they who helped raise me carried me on this occasion. Thank you. Any questions?
Prime Minister, congratulations again.
Thank you, Barry.
Right, on the top of your head, do you think you have a name when you said you would take over health and over? Are you
No, health is only for no, until Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, but do you have a name on the top of your head?
If I did, I wouldn't share it with you. Time is coming. Monday soon come. And hopefully on Monday I'll have a voice that will allow me to share it better. Any other questions? Yes. I'm going to sleep on all of that this weekend. I think that you will realize that in life I've learned that you don't do things in extreme happiness or extreme anger, and that what is required is reflection and a little rest. And over the course of this weekend, therefore, we will fine-tune the details of the government. We are clear that we have to be transformational, and therefore I do expect to have to make some changes to the structure of how government works. I've already spoken on the campaign trail about the fact that we need the People's Assemblies to be more responsive to the people of the nation, especially in the delivery of services. And I believe that the office of the Prime Minister has become more and more, my press secretary is here and he will tell you that regrettably he has had to be a jack of all trades, because in a very real sense, the office of the Prime Minister is seen as that place where all complaints ultimately come for all aspects of things, public and private. So we are giving serious thought to how best to structure that, and may make some innovations in there. I wouldn't say anything new. I continue to be reminded of the innate and inherent wisdom of the voter. And Barbadians are far more perceptive than we give them credit for. They also do not necessarily talk a lot. If you had listened to the media for the last year, you would well have believed that the government would have been tottering, that we were on the back foot. And it may well be that there was a disproportionate impact of a few voices in the media that did not necessarily reflect the will of the people. Sorry? How do you feel when you win 6 loves twice? I think all Barbadians know that. We are buoyed by it, we are humbled by the confidence, but I must tell you, it places a tremendous burden, and I have given the commitment. I gave it on the 27th of May 2018, and I give it again now, that I have to be the government's chief opposition when necessary, because the one thing I know is that I must not in any way breach the oath of office that I just took, and that the people of this country must always know that the fairness which they value, the accountability which they need, and the transparency which is required will always be part and parcel of the functioning of this government. And I took it seriously. The AG will tell you that one of the first pieces of legislation that we agreed to bring was the legislation that would allow me to remove from the office of the Prime Minister the absolute right for the appointment of a Chief Justice and judges of the Supreme Court. And we established an advisory committee that properly interviews persons now for this critical branch of our government. We also, as you most recently would have obviously realized, removed from the Prime Minister's office as well the absolute right for the appointment of the head of state. And Her Excellency has been appropriately elected by the Parliament of our country and the constituent members of our Parliament, as opposed to the voice and will of one person. So I think you get the idea of where I am going always in terms of deepening our democracy. Our Charter of Barbados speaks to the role of active citizenship, and this is the one thing that I want from the youngest child to the oldest adult, for us to ensure that citizenship education and the encouragement of active citizenship, that you don't only have rights, but you have a duty to each other, a duty to care, and a duty to participate in the social, economic, and environmental life of this nation. And we want more people doing it because many hands make light work. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Witnessing the official ceremony of new Prime Minister Mia Motley taking the oath of office from President Dame Sandra Mason. It's a first for both ladies, Dame Sandra in her capacity as President and the Prime Minister in her capacity as Prime Minister. Also, it was also a first as well for Attorney General Dale Marshall. They were accompanied by their families, members of Cabinet, Leader of Government Business, the Honourable Santia Bradshaw, also among the invited guests at the occasion. We are in the dining room of the State House, the official residence of the President. And it's a historic day and a historic occasion for Barbados and for all of them. And on behalf of my technical crew, including Patrick Murray and Sherwood McCaskey, I am Trevor Thorpe.